Hello and welcome to this Guinness Foreign Extra Stout with Bourbon Whiskey Edition video. Guinness Foreign Extra Stout. This is it's based on an old recipe from about 200 years ago at least. 7.5% alcohol, 11.2 ounce bottle. It says brewed with generous hops and roasted barley for a full flavor taste of dark chocolate, dried fruits, and caramel. I'm not going to read all of it. Imported. It's brewed in Ireland, and they say an ale. The old bottles used to say malt liquor. Going back to old laws where you couldn't sell beer above 5% alcohol by volume, but you could sell ale, lager, malt liquor. In other words, the same thing with a different name. This is the common Guinness in Africa, South Asia, the Caribbean islands. All right. Whole bottle fit. Okay, so this afternoon we're putting the Old Crow. Now there's your Guinness, very dark brown. May have some little, if the sunlight was better, it's very cloudy today, you'd get a little red highlight around. Thin beige head, it would be a thicker head in a narrower brim glass. So here's the Old Crow, the original sour mash bourbon whiskey. Been on the market since 1835. Developed by Dr. James Crow, Scottish immigrant. 3-year aged, charred white oak barrels. They don't have to be white oak, but the law is it has to be charred oak barrels to be bourbon, and it has to be new charred oak barrels. Can't be used barrels. Then it would just be whiskey. All right, so let's see if, well, first let's taste it. It's dark roasted. I always say you get black cherries in it. Caramel, chocolate, yeah, coffee, I find. Coffee and cream. Heavy roast, but not burnt. A lot of beer companies will do the heavy roast, but they can't manage to refrain from going over the line into burnt and charred. Then it starts tasting like ashes and charcoal. We get a lot of barrel-aged beers these days, even Budweiser. I had said that about 4 years ago. Budweiser, they ought to make a barrel-aged Budweiser, which is not actually aged in a barrel, but they, like Innocent Gun, they use pieces of barrel charred wood in the aging tank. So some of these barrel-aged beers will have a bourbon flavor, or if they're rum barreled, you know, they'll have the liquor flavor, but many won't. We had trouble picking that up on the CBS. We were saying doesn't seem to really have bourbon, and so we added some Kentucky blended whiskey, Heaven Hill Kentucky blended whiskey, when we did our duo review, and it did bring out the flavor a little bit. So let's see. It's hazy now. This whiskey's hazy. Bourbon whiskey. Yeah, should have brought a spoon out here. Kind of swish it around without it sloshing out the glass. Next time. Now I plan to do Canadian blended whiskey edition. I think I'll use the 12-year aged Canadian Club, which is a real fine product. And John and Ilya gave that to me. Thank you, John and Ilya of Georgia Beer Reviews. And then the last bottle of the 4-pack, I'll try it with some Scotch whiskey. And I think I'll probably use Buchanan's 12-year aged. Now the aroma hasn't changed. It seems a little more candy sweet. And a lot of times I'll say bourbon whiskey has like a candy corn flavor and aroma. Like a caramel candy almost. The bourbon had more like a candy corn flavor. Oh, very strong bourbon barrel flavor and bourbon. So this is not just a hint of it. This is pretty intense flavor of Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Now, does it improve the flavor? I don't know if it improves the flavor. It's all about if you like that whiskey flavor in or rum flavor in the beer. I don't really care for it, honestly. I was just experimenting. I like whiskey on its own. Beer over here, whiskey over there. But it's not a problem. It certainly doesn't taste bad. But it did change it. So, a lot of wood. It's really bringing out the wood. Strong oak. Charred oak. And more oak than char, I have to say. Body's high, medium. Finishes medium dry. Well, you could pay a lot of money, I guess, for bourbon barrel aged beers, and I mean a lot more than this. This was $8.99 a 4-pack, so we're talking about $2.25 a bottle, or actually less than $2.25 a bottle by just a fraction of a cent. But they don't seem to be appreciably different than what I'm tasting here. Now, will the Canadian whiskey be a different feeling? Yeah, I'm sure it will be. And the Scotch even more so. So I'm not going to say it improved it, but it certainly changed the taste. So, les bon temps relais. Thanks for watching this, not review, but this bourbon addition to Guinness Foreign Extra Stout. And in the next week or so, I'll try the other two, maybe the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to end this video by saying, y'all come on down to southeastern Louisiana.